So, today we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the hottest, most in-demand jobs in tech right now, the marketing data scientist. We're going to break down exactly what they do, why they're so incredibly valuable, and, most importantly, how you can become one. Let's get into it.
Okay, so it really all boils down to this one huge question. Companies are pouring billions of dollars into ads every single year. You see them on TV, on your social feeds, billboards, they're everywhere. But how do they actually know what's driving sales and what's just, well, expensive noise? Answering that question is the entire reason this job exists.
And let's be totally real here. It's not all magic and crystal balls. As one data scientist on Reddit so perfectly put it, the job is a cycle. You make a forecast, you figure out why it kind of sucks, and then you go back and make a better one. It's all about that slow, steady crawl from pure guesswork to scientific truth, one model at a time.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll unravel that big marketing mystery. Then, we'll get into the specifics of the data scientist's role and the tools you'll need. After that, we'll look at the jaw-dropping impact they have in the real world. And finally, we'll lay out a clear roadmap for you to get started on this awesome career path.
So, let's dive into that mystery. For the longest time, setting a marketing budget was like trying to navigate a ship in a thick fog. Marketers knew that some of their ads were working, they just had no idea which half. Without data science, you're basically just playing a multi-million-dollar guessing game.
And this is where our hero steps in. The marketing data scientist's entire job is to turn on the lights, to replace all that guesswork with actual science. It's about a fundamental shift from just reporting on what happened last month to building models that can actually predict the future.
So what is a marketing data scientist officially? Well, here's a solid definition. They're an expert who uses the tools of data science and statistics to measure how well marketing is working, and then figure out how to make it work even better. It's all about two words: measure and optimize.
Now, this is a really important distinction to make. How is this different from a marketing analyst? Well, think of it this way. An analyst is like a historian. They look backwards, summarizing data to tell you what happened. A data scientist, on the other hand, is like a futurist. They build predictive models to tell you what's going to happen. They don't just answer questions. They're the ones figuring out the most important questions the business should even be asking in the first place. So, how do they do it? Well, their go-to weapon is something called marketing mix modeling, or MMM for short. This is the real deal. It's not just about tracking clicks. MMM looks at everything. All your historical data on sales, ad spend, you name it. And it measures the impact of both online and offline channels. It even accounts for things like seasonality, or the fact that an ad you see today might not actually make you buy something for another 2 weeks. It's this big, holistic view that's becoming absolutely critical as it gets harder to track individual users online. All right, I see you leaning in. You're interested. So what does it actually take to do this job? What skills do you need to pack in your toolbox to really succeed here? Think of it like leveling up in a video game. Here's your skill tree. You have to start with foundational statistics. Things like regression and time series analysis are your bread and butter. Next, you got to learn to code. Python or R are the go-tos, and you'll absolutely need SQL to wrangle all that data. Then, and this is so important, you need to actually understand marketing. You can't model what you don't understand. And finally, you start layering on the advanced stuff, like Bayesian modeling, which is this super powerful way to not just predict what will happen, but to say how confident you are in that prediction.
Okay, now for my favorite part. Why is this job so important? Because the impact is just massive. We are talking about work that directly drives billions and billions of dollars in value for companies all over the world.
Check this out. A huge consumer goods brand, the kind you see in every supermarket, put a proper MMM program in place. In the very first year, they increased their return on marketing investment by 15%. When you're spending hundreds of millions on ads, 15% isn't just a nice little bump, it's a colossal win.
And hey, this isn't a one-off. It's not just for big packaged goods companies. Take the fashion brand Gina Trico. They used these exact same data science techniques and boosted their marketing ROI by an insane 53%. That's the power you unlock when you switch from "I think this will work" to "the data shows this will work."
But if you want to see the true scale of what we're talking about, look no further than Amazon. By getting better at forecasting, which is a core skill for this role, they save over $1 billion a year. Let that sink in. $1 billion, just in inventory savings. Better predictions lead to monumental efficiency. But, and this is a huge but, all of those incredible results, they hinge on one thing: good data. You've probably heard the phrase garbage in, garbage out, and it has never been more true than it is here. A useful model is transparent. It tells you exactly where the data came from, how it was cleaned, and gives you specific metrics on its accuracy. Anything that just vaguely mumbles about big data or claims to be highly accurate without showing the proof, well, that's useless. Clean data will beat a fancy algorithm every single time.
And you know, it's not all just crunching numbers in a dark room. There's a huge human side to this. As one forecaster famously said, they spend more time fighting people's gut feelings than they do actually building the forecast model. A massive part of your job is communication and persuasion, showing stakeholders why the data is telling a story that might contradict what they believe for years.
Okay, so we've seen the why, the impact is undeniable. Let's get down to the how. How do you actually get started and land one of these jobs? Well, the great news is the demand for these skills is absolutely on fire right now. And trust me, the demand is real. This isn't some theoretical role. Look at these job postings from companies you definitely know. Disney wants someone to quantify ROI on marketing investment. Pinterest is hiring people to assess the incremental impact of marketing. These are core strategic roles at the biggest companies on the planet.
And where there's high demand, there's usually a pretty nice paycheck to go with it. Just looking at that Disney job posting, a mid-level data scientist in this space can pull in somewhere between 123 and 165 grand a year in big cities. Companies know this skill set is valuable, and they are willing to pay for it.
So, you're ready to hit the books? Awesome. Here are a few must-haves for your library. Grigsby's Marketing Analytics is a great place to start. For the experimentation side of things, Trustworthy Online Controlled Experiments is an industry Bible. And if you really want to understand uncertainty, Gelman's Bayesian data analysis is the definitive guide. And the best part? You don't have to figure this all out from scratch. The biggest players in the game are literally giving you the tools and the training for free. Meta has a whole course on how to use their open-source tool, Robin. Google has a fantastic guidebook. You can download these tools right now and start getting hands-on experience. And look, this isn't something you learn overnight. Think of it as a journey, broken down into a few manageable phases. In your first few months, you just focus on the basics, cleaning data, building simple forecasts. Then, you start enhancing your models by bringing in more data. After about a year, you're ready for the really advanced machine learning stuff. And finally, you reach that top tier, where your work is fully integrated into the core strategy of the business. So let's wrap this up. The demand for this role, it's real, and it's growing like crazy. The tools and resources you need to learn it, they're out there, they're accessible, and many of them are free. This is a chance to use data, code, and strategy to solve one of the biggest, most interesting puzzles in the business world. The only question left is, are you ready to start solving